you want to know a good bumper for this episode is because there's a Metroid pinball,
Yeah.
and and pinball has bumpers. So this is the only time we're going to talk about Metroid pinball the episode. But that's what I came up with. What do you think?
That was it.
it's
Just there.
I now that's a piece of lore I know, that Metroid pinball exists and has bumpers.
Ethan, you said lore. That means we get to do the intro music.
Ah!
I went to Baltimore Comic-Con. I talked to a crazy amount of people. Lizzie got
As
nominated.
Mothman?
As some of it as Mothman. I dressed up as Mothman, and Lizzie was Finn from the critically acclaimed, award-nominated series Finding Fiends. She unfortunately did not win. She lost to a person who has been making comics for as long as we have been alive. So,
Oh wow.
you know,
that might be fair.
Ageist.
But we talked to a lot of industry people. We met a lot of cool people. I was all like, I was kind of starstruck. I don't usually get starstruck, but I really didn't know what to say to him. But I talked to Harold Buchholz, and he's one of the writer producers for Mystery Science Theater.
Oh, nice.
And I met him, and I was like, I love the show. He gave me there's a critical piece of lore we missed, because they have a comic book where in the comic book they create a new technology to get transported into the comics, and then they do their show inside the comics. So they found old comics that are bad, and then they redrew the characters into the comics, and then like put the jokes into the comic book on top of the regular comic. And it's amazing. I've only read through part of it because I was just reading it on the plane ride back. I just got back. But I got to talk to Harold. He was a super cool guy. We were talking about how we love how they did a bunch of Midwest humor and all of the MST3K stuff. He was talking about Joel and how cool of a guy he was, and how he lives in Pennsylvania. And we're like, oh, we wanted to see a live show. And he was like, oh, yeah, we want to do another like tour thing eventually once all the writer strike stuff is over. And I was like, you got to come back to the Midwest. Yeah, at least got to hit up Chicago or something. He was a super cool guy. I loved meeting him. He has a podcast. I was like, I did a podcast. I have a podcast. I didn't give him anything else.
And he was like, I know, CJ. I loved your episode about
Harold, if you're listening to this, you're like the coolest guy I've met in a long time. And I don't know why you're listening to this podcast, but I appreciate it. But he gave me his podcast, which is called Unpacking Peanuts, which is an amazing name for a podcast. And they just talk about peanuts. Like they talk about not Peanuts the food, but Peanuts the comic. He does comic stuff. Yeah. They've been doing it for like 2 or 3 years now. And
that is a good name.
Yeah, I know. It's so good. But I was like, if they can do their podcast only about different aspects of the Peanuts gallery, then we can do our podcast still.
We can never do a Peanuts episode.
We got permission?
Well, no, like just conceptually we are able to.
Oh, okay, awesome.
I did tell him I had a podcast. That's how it came up that he had a podcast. I was like, that's very cool. I met a guy who knows Matt Mercer and a bunch of the other Critical Role guys, and cool. I was like, I would love to come hang out with you guys sometimes. I met a bunch of cool writer guys that are all like comedy writers. They're very funny people. But the reason it was your nightmare, Ethan, is because it was just
already sounding like it.
It was just a packed night filled with having conversations with super smart people getting progressively drunker.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And so I was bringing it my all, man. I was doing everything I could. But
socializing real hard.
Yeah, I was. Oh my god. You don't even know. We met Sarah Anderson. I didn't really get to talk to her that much because I wanted Lizzie to be able to talk to her. But the two of them talked for a good long while, and because they both have comics with cryptids in them, because Sarah Anderson is the author of Cryptid Club, among many other things.
Nice.
It was super cool meeting her. She liked my Mothman costume. We went to her table. It was awesome. It was a super cool experience all around, but extremely exhausting. And we felt really bad because at the end of Saturday night, everyone was like, "Oh, we gotta hang out tomorrow and do more stuff." And we're like, "No, we gotta go back to Wisconsin." And they're like, "Oh man," and I was like, "Dang." We made some cool comic friends. But anyway, that's what I've been up to. That's a little CJ Lizzie update.
Sounds exhausting.
It was. Well, fortunately, I didn't have to come back and immediately start preparing for my own podcast, which we're doing right now. But yeah, it was a killer awesome time. Hey, if you are on Blue Sky, we're cooking with spices. I put a bunch of pictures of me as Mothman and Lizzie as a cowboy in reference to her character in Finding Fiends, which if you are a true listener, you know about because Lizzie's been on, I would say, about a fourth of the episode. Anyway, what's up with you guys? We haven't talked. Look at us, still three of us again. We haven't talked in so long.
I know.
What
I mean,
you...
I'm just exhausted at existing. So the fact that you did that this weekend is also
exhausted at existing.
That's great. People are gonna love this. People are gonna be like,
it's gonna be.
Guys,
we're so high.
Do you remember
energy.
Do you remember the episode where CJ was like has like a social meeting high, and the other two are just like
so sad,
ready to be asleep?
I'm
They're
just
gonna
tired.
Remember that one.
I'm not as sad as Ethan. So yay.
That's fair. I would say if you are sad, you're probably tired. But if you're tired, you don't have to be sad.
Listen, if you're as sad as Ethan, you should really talk to someone about it.
Ethan, you are talking to someone about it. You're talking to us. But you're not talking about that. We're talking about Metroid. Segue that I can't edit out.
Nope.
So I'll do it.
You can try again.
No, that was really good. No, that was really good. You should keep that.
Yeah, definitely. I'll keep that. Do you guys want to talk about Metroid now, though? The video games?
I've heard about
there's like
Metroid.
4 of them, right?
There's
4 games because Metroid 4 is coming out, and there's a lady in a suit that people didn't know she was a lady.
Oh, see, I was gonna do.
And she turns into a ball.
Yeah.
Hence the pinball game, which I'm very excited to learn about today.
We're not going to talk about the pinball game.
And why not?
We are also probably not going to talk about Metroid Prime at all because although the title screen for that game has been shown, I don't expect we will be seeing that game anytime soon. So I think
sure?
I think they pulled an Elder Scrolls 6 on us and just showed a title screen implying that they were doing something about it, and then there's like, Hey,
Final Fantasy VII Remastered finally came out after all these years. It's not always a pipe dream.
Is
the first
all of
part
it
of
out?
it came out. No, the first part of it. They did something. They released part of it.
Yeah, well now it's the
part
first...
1 of 7?
Yeah. We talked about that, right? They only did like a fourth of the game and they're like, it's done, ship it. And then they made an extension to that game, but instead of adding on to the story that they didn't do, they decided to make it about the great ninja Yuffie. Yeah, we talked about that for sure.
Love it.
Check out our Final Fantasy episode. Great. Ethan, how many Samus games have you played? Just to get it. I know Fran has played like none.
It's like 3 or 4.
I have played 1 and then some Super Smash Brothers.
Sure, okay.
Oh, if we count the Super Smash Brothers, I played like 9.
There's not that many.
You can't go from 1 to 9 on Smash Brothers alone.
Isn't she in Mario Kart or something these days?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, everyone is. Everyone is here, Fran. Okay. I have also only played a few, but I have seen speedruns of almost all of them. And I will say it's pretty good. The story is not bad, except for the ones that are pretty bad, but we'll get there. Would you guys like to learn about a galaxy far, far away, but it's actually the Milky Way? It's just in the future. And
So far away in terms of time as opposed to distance.
correct. Thinking fourth
Understood.
dimensionally. Thank you, Fran.
Yes.
In the distant future, when dates have X's in them, because that just happens eventually.
That
Mm-hmm.
Japan was so convinced that was gonna be the thing. They were like Mega Man X. They were like Metroid has all the X's. They were like, I don't know when, but at some point we're gonna give up on all this bullshit with numbers and we're gonna start in on X's.
They're still doing it in Pokemon. It's EX, GX, MX. Like it's all X's.
That's all because it used to be
DX.
DX, which standed for Director's Cut. But yeah, it is like they forgot how numbers worked, and they're like, well, eventually we're gonna run out. We're gonna switch to letters. Not the case. But in the distant future, the sentient races of the galaxy have all come together, a la Star Wars, and have created the Galactic Federation, which is a galactic level government that oversees everything, I guess, in the galaxy.
I think that'd be more Star Trek, but that's just me being a Trekkie.
Yeah, it's that kind of idea. I mean, there are alien races in it, but as we will see, it still is a lot of humans doing a lot of stuff. But this Galactic Federation also has a police force, which will come into play later. But it is, quote, a time of peace and prosperity for the entire galaxy because the Galactic Federation is doing such a good job of federating everything, except that there are space pirates everywhere.
Don't worry about this.
Query, like, the whole point of piracy is that you, like, don't have a good alternative. But if the Galactic Federation's doing so great, then why would you need to be a pirate if you could just get the resources you want to survive anyway? And also, what's with the police state, galaxy? I don't know how utopian this all is, you know, as opposed to what the official record states. It's like, oh yeah, everything's going great. There are no problems. There are pirates though, and they are actually a big problem. But apart from that, everything is going perfectly.
I would say that any culture that is like needs bounty hunters is probably could be doing better.
If I've learned anything from the One Piece live action adaptation, is that with pirates,
that's what you've been spending all your time on recently.
Is that the best pirates are in cahoots with the police state, hence why they can keep pirating. And then all of the low-level pirates are like, whatever.
That isn't piracy. That's privateering.
It's piracy with condoning kind of under the table from the government.
Right. All right.
They're still pirating.
I'm sure we'll definitely do our One Piece episode eventually. Surely we all have thousands
just do it
of
on
hours
the live
of our
action,
lives.
and there's only 8 episodes. It's fine.
Great. We are going to zoom in for the time being on a planet called K2L. Oh, I should mention, like all of these fucking bullshit Nintendo games, of course our beginning lore has to start on the manga adaptation explaining the background of the main character and not in actually any games. So currently we are in the manga.
Okay.
Just so we're all super clear on that.
And the manga is canon to the games.
Yes.
All right, great.
Yeah, the manga was made when Shigeru Miyamoto was like, wait a minute, people give a shit about what came before?
Same deal with the Zelda. They made a manga to do the backstory, so that's where we are right now. We are on a planet called K2L. This planet is rich in a mineral called a floraltite. It is a precious mineral that is used in the creation of spacefaring ships. It says it's an ignition source for space engines. So it's very valuable. They need a lot of it, and there is a human settlement that exists on K2L to mine it and ship it out to the rest of the Federation.
All right.
And that's all going great. It is led by a couple. I don't remember their first names. It doesn't matter because their last names are the Arans. And they are in charge of overseeing this production line. So one day they're hard at work, and a group of, quote, avian sapien race known as the Chozo show up. The Chozo are big bird people. They have bird heads and, wings on their back, but they still have the talons as hands and feet, which, again, it's kind of weird. And they're big. They're like 10 feet tall.
Oh God.
But
so if dinosaurs became sentient?
Yeah, sort of an alternate future dinosaur kind of thing, which is very radical. But they are not here to cause any mischief. They are a peace-loving nation. They're not a part of the Federation, though, as we will find out later. But they have come here to be like, hey, we could really use some of that afluorotite because we're a spacefaring nation, and we're very old and wise as a species. So could we trade for some or have some or whatever? And the Arans are like, no, we need this. This is for the Federation. We've got orders, et cetera. And they're
contracted,
and so they're like,
et cetera.
Right. Yeah. And so they're like, okay, well, we tried our best. See ya. And then they leave.
I'm sure that's going to just be done there.
Well, unfortunately for the human settlement, the Chozo were being stalked by a group of space pirates. Remember I said there were space pirates?
Okay, so the Chozo are fine. That's good.
The Chozo are chill. They are cool.
They're actually chill. Okay.
Maybe not all that wise.
Not all of them. We'll get to that a little bit later.
But they are chill.
These ones were chill. They're some of the notable big bird people that were on the group that like met with them were one named Old Bird, which they're all just named like that, by the way. So Old Bird is kind of their old wise man guy, and Gray Voice, who is another of their like wise elder sort of dudes. But yeah, they're chill. They actually just left, but it's the pirates who are following them. They come and they're like, wait a second, the Federation needs all of this cool mineral to run smoothly. Why don't we just go ahead and fuck all of this up? And the leader of these space pirates is a big dragon guy named Ridley, who is named after Ridley Scott, the aliens guy. Ridley is if you haven't played Super Smash Brothers, Ridley is a big dragon kind of creature, but he is pretty smart. Like he's an intelligent guy, and he is the leader of the space pirates right now. And he decides that they are going to kill everybody and take all this nice stuff,
like you do,
as pirates do.
Right? They're pirates.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay.
So he does this. He comes, he kills everybody because the space pirates are very, very strong, and Ridley is super, very strong, and they kill everybody. And for some reason, Ridley doesn't kill a young girl. We find out that this young girl is named Samus. Actually, it's weird. He tries to kill her, but then her mom jumps in front of this laser blast explosion and sacrifices herself to save her. And it doesn't matter. Everyone on the planet is dead except for Samus, who is just a little girl at this point. She's like a child.
Is she protected by the magic of love like in Harry Potter?
No, because we don't support turf ideals in this podcast. So she was actually supported by the power feminism. But real feminism, the kind that extends to all women. So
the kind that was on our last episode.
Right. Exactly. I don't remember what you're talking about. I assume it was awful though.
No, it's just because there was 2 women on that one, but it's okay if you
Oh,
forgot.
I see. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant the actual content battle royale was somehow feminist content.
No,
I didn't watch that one. A few too many ladies in there, you know.
Right. So anyway, Samus is able to survive this onslaught, but she is the only survivor. The settlement was able to send out like a distress call before they all died, but no one was able to show up in time. The Chozo, who were still kind of near the area, but were like in the process of piecing out, did come back and see all of the destruction, and then they felt kind of bad because they were like, oh, these pirates are probably following us around for our amazing technology and such. And then they destroyed this human settlement. And then they find Samus, and they're like, we should bring Samus in because we are responsible for her family and also everyone else dying, and that would make us feel a little bit better. Aww. And so they do that. This is how Samus comes to be in the midst of the Chozo, who bring her back to one of their home planets, Zebes. That is where a lot of they don't have like one main home planet. They're like wanderer, explorer, scientists kind of species. So Zebes is a planet that they have been at, it seems like, at least for a long time, although it says that they came to Zebes on a wrecked spaceship also. So it's not like their home planet, but they've been there a long time. So it might as well be their home planet now.
God, now I gotta look this up because I've always pronounced it
Zebes. Everyone I heard talk about it called it Zebes.
Okay. Then we'll go with it.
It could be Zebes, it could be Zebes. There's no voice acting. I mean, for the most part.
Except that one time.
Not in the good
Not in the
ones.
manga.
Not in the good games. So
all right, I'm
gonna say Zebes for the rest of them because it's been ingrained into me. But I also thought it was Zebes before I started listening to a bunch of other YouTubers talk about it. So, hey, kudos. Hey, shout out to the other lore tubers out there.
Give us your viewers.
You don't have to do that, but if you want to come do an episode with us, just let me know. As long as you have more subscribers than us, that's pretty much a given. So, all right, so they go back to Zebes, and this is challenging because Samus is a little human girl, and Zebes is a very dangerous planet filled with extraordinarily dangerous fauna. All of the natural life there is super hostile, and the Chozo can exist there because they have amazing technology and are super strong and great fighters, but it would be very difficult for a human to live there. But they go, oh, wait, we are the Chozos. We are masters of all sorts of wild technology, including DNA splicing technology. So they decide that they're going to give Samus some Chozo DNA, which will help make her stronger and smarter and faster and just generally cooler in every way.
And like a tall mommy.
Interesting.
Yeah, and she'll grow up and she'll be a tall mommy and a powerful blonde bad bitch, and it'll be epic, they say.
I mean, was her mom already a tall mommy, as you saw in the manga, or?
They're not as big as the Chozo, although I guess Samus isn't really either. So, she could be like a big mommy by like human standards, but certainly not by Chozo standards.
Okay.
Their mommies would be huge, like
such big mommies.
Damn, I mean, I'm sweating a little bit just thinking about it, quite honestly. So I'll move on. But they do this. So now, as Ethan pointed out, let's talk a little bit about how the Chozo are split up. Although they are all kind of benevolent bird people with super advanced technology, there are a couple factions within the Chozo, and they are a little bit differing in their ideals over stuff. On
Politics.
One hand, on one hand,
my favorite.
You're gonna love Metroid Other M then.
Oh, is that why people hated that game?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Okay.
On one hand, there's the Toha tribe, and they're like cool. They're chill. They're the Star Trek guys that are just like, they just travel around gathering information, doing science, generally pretty benevolent. They're like chill and cool. They're the ones who initially brought Samus in, and were the ones like communicating with the humans and stuff, and that's where Old Bird and Gray Voice, they're part of the Toha tribe. And then there's also the Mockin tribe. They want to fight things. It's kind of implied that the Chozo, before they became this like benevolent science race, were actually like powerful warrior race kind of people, until their technology became so advanced. They're like, oh, we don't need to do this anymore. You know, we're beyond this now. We've grown beyond that. But these guys are like, no, I think we should actually take what's ours. We are an advanced race of space hawks. We should just do whatever we want and control the whole galaxy. They're a little less cool, although they do still like collaborate with the Toha tribe, because they're still all, you know, one big family.
Right. Yeah, it's you know, it's like with liberals, right, where they're like, "Listen, we're trying to be chill here, but we got to reach across the aisle to the violent group that wants to just kind of
right
run everything by
we need
birthright."
To stop pushing, we need to stop pushing so hard on all the like pro-choice stuff. That's going to alienate too many people. Let's just focus on like I don't know, kind of giving debt relief, but also not really. I mean, I'm going to start paying my student debts back next month, so that's pretty fun.
It's this month.
Well, it started this month, but the things are due next month.
Okay.
But yeah. Yeah, super great. I love all that stuff. Great job. Great job.
I look forward
quo.
to learning about student debt relief in the other M.
Yeah, that is part of that's a big part of it. Okay, so Samus is getting new Chozo DNA, and they decide that the best thing to do is give her DNA from both tribes. So she gets 2 bits of Chozo DNA.
Damn.
She gets some DNA from Gray Voice, who's one of the Toha, who has, he's one of those like wise men guys. Not as old as Old Bird, but he's definitely like a technology kind of guy. And then she also gets some DNA from Ravenbeak, who is the leader of the Mockin tribe, who's one of the most fearsome warriors that has ever existed in the known galaxy.
Why would he give DNA to her? Or is it just they happen to have it on hand at the time, or on Talon at the time?
So one of the Chozo's like main goals at this point, that's a great question, Fran. One of their main goals is that they are trying to like leave behind a legacy. As a species, they are like, in some of the things I saw, it was like their species has become an old species, so they lost the ability to reproduce. And I'm like, well, just because everyone gets older overall doesn't mean that you can't reproduce when you're younger still. But anyway, they basically, their birth rate's going down. They're doing a Japan.
They're having a Japan.
Yeah.
A Japan problem here.
All of the younger Chozo looked at their student debt and said, maybe
like, I just really can't afford it. Sorry.
Yeah.
And there's no paid time off for, you know, like paternity or maternity leave, so I really can't.
Right.
We got the older science projects going on.
Right. The older children are like, well, I guess the only solution is to let our race die.
Because we're not gonna do that. So. But yeah, they are like, they're doing the thing of like the elves. They're getting too old. They can't make new babies or whatever, and so they're trying to secure their legacy. And although they have differing ideas of what that means, both the Toho and the Mockin tribes are like, we need to secure our legacy somehow. And the Mockin see this as an opportunity to create like the perfect warrior in Samus. And the Toho see this as an opportunity to, or the Toha see it as an opportunity to make like the perfect protector. Like the legacy of the Chozo can be like this protector of all of the life in the galaxy. So that's why they kind of came together for this project. Like I said, they still collaborate. They just have very different ideas of like their end goal.
I think it's really interesting that they decided to do this to a human. Were they experimenting on humans before? Or was this like the first human they tried to like DNA splice?
No,
so it just like happened to work out.
I mean, they haven't done it before, but they were doing that kind of thing where they're like, well, she's here. Like, I mean, we might as well.
I mean, what are we going to do? Ask her if she wants to have her DNA spliced? I'm sure it's fine. She has no living relatives to give consent.
Well, yeah, and also, and like, she just really doesn't have a good chance of survival unless they do this. So,
yeah,
they bring her in, they give her Chozo DNA, and they start the very rigorous training that is involved in becoming a young Chozo warrior.
How old is she when all this goes down?
I think she is 3.
Oh, when her
I want to
died?
say, yeah, she was.
And then they put her through training at 3.
Well, they did the genetic splicing around that time.
Okay, they're still okay. I can take that. Little human toddler is still developing.
Right,
you know,
and
body
then
adapts. All right,
and then they train her for 11 years. So she is now 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
An adult, surely.
They did spend 8 of those years just teaching her how to contort into a ball. That one took most of the time.
Every time people talk about the Chozo abilities, they have to bring up, apparently the Chozo have the ability to turn into a ball. So I guess that's really important for them.
It's about culture.
Right. So she is now 14, and they have given her a power suit, which is, you know, a pretty important thing for her to have, given that's her iconic look. She has become a powerful warrior, stronger than most humans at this point. But they have, well, the Makin have some concerns with how this is all turning out. Because although she is becoming a powerful warrior, they say that she has too much compassion. They're like, warriors can't have any compassion. Gotta just
that uterus.
Gotta do the kill. Yeah, it probably has something to do with that. They gotta just kill stuff, and they're not happy that she sometimes doesn't just kill things without remorse.
Disappointing.
The Toha are like, this could be good. This, you know, maybe she is gonna be like a universal protector. Like that would be pretty cool. But that's kind of what's forming here. It is also important to note that during all of this training and stuff, the Chozo have another invention of theirs that they're working on to try and secure their legacy. It is called Mother Brain, and the Chozo made Mother Brain to be a super artificial intelligence. You can give it any prompt for like a picture or something, and it can make it.
And have the right number of fingers. And everything.
Yeah, it can do hands. It will tell you like the answer to a math problem, but it will actually do it right instead of just pretending like it knows how to do math. It can do all that stuff.
Will it make actual like original artworks and not just rip off?
No, it's still basically it's just a compilation of other. It's like a collage, but but it's good enough to trick. Yeah, it's good enough to trick other AI detectors. So it seems like it's not.
So I can use it to write my essays.
Yeah, you definitely could.
Okay. Yeah. No issues there.
That was the Chozo's legacy. No one need do an essay ever again.
Finally, we can get rid of the artistic class of people so that we can send them all through college, and then they'll all have student debts forever.
Please,
all races.
No.
All races will no longer proliferate. They'll all be in debt.
That's the dream. Just a bunch of aging out, super rich people. I love that.
Somewhere there's just a fucking like Egyptian temple to the Chozo. There's just a put your money here sign. It's just they must continue to pay their debts long after we have perished.
That's their legacy. Yes, it is exactly all of that. And the tech bro Chozos are like, this is amazing. We love this technology.
Nothing could go wrong.
We want to make something that is going to bring peace to. It's gonna doesn't say peace. They specifically say bring order to the galaxy.
Ooh.
So, order. No, that's not good.
Choice.
You know. Yeah, right.
Poor word choice.
Sort of a monkey paw technology, but whatever.
Did they ask Mother Brain for that directive, or did they?
Yeah,
come up with
it's
that
hard
one
to tell, right? If we were socially engineered to come up with that, and we made them that way, I don't know. But Mother Brain is around when they bring Samus in, and she's connected to basically like the planet Zebes, because they're using her as like a controlling AI to do all the like, kind of monitor everything, control all the higher functions of all of their like many different facilities,
all the administrative tasks of running a planet.
Right, like nice. Do all of that stuff. And then they're like prepping her. They're gonna be like, you're gonna help bring order to the galaxy one day, and that's gonna be great for everybody. We're sure of it. So Mother Brain is like, I don't think we should train this little child person. I think that's dumb. But they do it anyway. So like, why do they even have the thing? But whatever.
They only listen to the advice they want to hear.
Right.
Like true rich
that's why she's Mother Brain.
Race.
Yeah, and if she was Father Brain, people would actually give a shit. Yeah, it's matriarchal society in name only. But I mention this only because Mother Brain also has a role in like raising Samus. She kind of views Samus and her on like the same level as like the Chozo legacy. And so she gets this idea that she is kind of like Samus's mother because she's helping raise her as in the way that the Chozo want her to be raised, which I think is just like a hand wavy kind of retroactive thing they did as why she's called Mother Brain and not just Large Brain or something like that, because these mangas were made way after the games where Mother Brain appeared, but
okay. But so they're trying to like tie some loose ends together.
Yeah, so that's she's Mother Brain kinda. Is she Samus's mom?
I feel like they could have just called it Mother Brain without that connection, but you do you, manga.
Yeah, whatever. All right, so Samus is pretty badass now. She's 14, but she's too kind. She's too nice to other things.
Too empathetic.
Yeah, classic lady stuff. So the Chozo are like, listen, we basically taught you everything that we can teach you. You got to kind of figure out what kind of person you're going to be now. So see ya. Go do something with your life.
Go on, you scamp.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
That's in Chozo 14 is when you're like, all right, we're done with this. Go.
Listen, in Chozo, you were supposed to get out at 9, and your father and I have let you stay in the basement.
We noticed you humans are a little squishy a little longer than we thought. So
yeah. So here's
kept you 5 extra years.
Yeah, here's a piece of armor that nothing can shoot through, and I don't know, just go do whatever you're gonna do out there.
You'll be fine.
So she decides to join the Federation police force. Remember I said the Galactic Federation has a police force? Well, she is like, well, I'm supposed to be a good guy, so I'll go join the good guys, which
police.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's totally fine in this one, and it's not problematic.
They're the ones keeping order for the pirates.
Right, but again, whatever. So why aren't the pirates part of the Federation? Well, it's fine. Anyway, because
they're pirates. Why would they join an organization?
Because access to trade routes, Fran. I don't know. It's easier to not die to a bunch of people shooting you and have Xboxes than it is.
That's why they make deals with the people who run the trade routes. They don't have to actually be a part of it.
You're not going to convince me of the realism of One Piece.
Right. But no, the pirates were like, "We would like to join the Federation, but we'd also like to do a lot of violence." And the police were like, "We've already got that part covered." You know?
Right. That does actually track. So Samus joins them, and that is where she meets General Adam Malkovich, who is in charge of the police force. He is a general and in charge of the police force. Not a good combination. Pretty militarized police force, but you
don't appreciate our militarized police force?
I guess
that keeps us all so safe.
I guess on this,
not fearing for our lives.
On this, a 9/11, I must be happy of our police state that we live in. Thank God for them.
Thank God for that Patriot Act.
We're recording this on 9/11. I didn't let them do a funny joke at the beginning about it, though. So I guess you're getting it in the middle right here, because we already tricked you into listening this far, and you're like, what happens to Samus? And then we're like, haha, 9/11 was an inside job. We got you, idiots.
What is it, jet fuel melts steel beams or something?
No, would it be it's a floral tight melts steel beams?
There you
go. I forgot to mention her Samus's dad like killed himself to blow up all the floral tight so that the pirates couldn't have them. But the pirates were kind of just doing it so that the Federation couldn't have them anyway. So it's just
kind of
I don't know. Anyway,
I would assume a floral tight's radioactive.
Listen, I'm skipping over a bunch of stuff that doesn't really matter, so don't worry about it too much. Okay, so Samus is not a bounty hunter right now. She works for the police, and
because they're the good guys, they keep order.
They are the good guys, so much so that they're going to go and
they're the thin blue line.
Okay, we're at our quota now, and even they can respect a quota. So they're like, listen, Samus, there's a bunch of space pirates. And they are all holed up on Zebes. And she's like, wait, what? That's where I'm from. So after Samus left, Mother Brain started getting some ideas in her head. She was like, you know what? I'm actually smarter than all the Chozos. I've surpassed them in every possible way. And I know that the only way to bring order to the galaxy is to pretty much kill everybody and have them all be dead.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's not wrong.
And so she decides that she is going to become the leader of the space pirates, which is a thing she can just do, I guess, because she's very smart and strong. And then she lets the space pirates into Zebes and enslaves all of the Chozos and has all of the pirates hole up on Zebes. And she's like, all right, this is a great plan. We're gonna take over the entire galaxy. Secretly, though, she's not really in league with the pirates. She wants the pirates and the Federation to fight each other until they're both basically wiped out, and then she's gonna sort of finish the job. And that's how she's gonna create order in the universe. So she doesn't really give a shit about the space pirates, but she can be in charge of them because she's stronger and smarter than they are.
I'm not sure how well thought this plan actually is, but
I mean, it seems to be working for her because she now controls Zebes.
Yeah, it's fine. We haven't even gotten to the Metroids, Fran.
Yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry about it. We'll experience that in flashbacks, kind of. They're around right now, but I don't want to ruin the surprise in case there is one named Metroid. Anyway, all of the Chozo are enslaved except Grey Voice, who, remember, gave his DNA to Samus when she was a little baby. He's like, you know what, Mother Brain, that's not a bad idea. I'll join you. Why don't we lead these space pirates and we'll just kill everybody. That sounds great. And Mother Brain's like, I like that you're on board, Grey Voice. You're my general now. And so he's like, great.
Nice.
And so Grey Voice has teamed up with Mother Brain, and the two of them have taken over Zebes, and now the Galactic Federation is like, you guys need to go put an end to these space pirates. So they send Samus and a bunch of other bounty hunters who, well, they're not bounty hunters, they're police, but doesn't matter. They don't matter. They're in the manga only. So Samus goes down there. She starts, plowing her way through a bunch of space pirates, absolutely bodying them because she's way cooler than them. She gets to Mother Brain, and Mother Brain's like, Samus, baby, what are we doing fighting? You know, you and me, we're both the legacy of the Chozo, you know? We're the next step. We should work together. And Samus is like, no fucking way am I going to work with you. You enslaved all of my family, and I don't appreciate that.
Yep. Slavery's wrong.
Yeah, and so Mother Brain's like, okay, well, surprise guest, I'm actually in charge of the space pirates now, so you know that guy that killed all of your original family and left you as an orphan? He works for me now, and he's here. And so Ridley shows up, and he's like, hey, Samus, what's up? And she has a bunch of PTSD, and she gets captured, and they're gonna kill him, and then Grey Voice is like, no, don't kill her. We can use her. Just let me deal with this. You know, I can get her on our side. And they're like, all right, that sounds like a better idea than just wasting all of this good
wasting the potential legacy over here.
Yeah. So that sounds fine. We'll do that. And so Samus is like in prison now. She has to go through this whole like inner turmoil about like how to deal with Ridley, who killed her parents, and all that other stuff. That doesn't matter because Grey Voice is actually a good guy. That's
no
right.
fucking way.
No
Holy
way.
shit.
Oh my
He
gosh.
was just pretending to be on board with all of this stuff.
Such a good actor.
He knew that he would have to defeat Mother Brain and stop her from doing a bad on the galaxy. So he suits up in some Chozo armor, and he goes to take her out. And so this is where things start to get stupid.
Okay.
So
All right.
you know how the Toha tribe were like, oh, we're past being all violent and stuff. We don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, they, I guess, at one point put a bunch of like mental blocks inside of all of their heads that literally prevents them from being aggressive.
Oh,
aggressive.
Interesting.
And so although Grey Voice maybe would have been able to beat Ridley had he not had this in place, he does have this in place, and he's kind of like physically unable to fight Ridley.
Interesting.
And so he is killed by Ridley because they decided they didn't want to fight anymore. So they put a thing. People are like, well, maybe it's because they're inherently aggressive and they needed to like put something in their mind to stop them, which I don't approve of that line of thinking at all. So,
I mean, I like that the one tribe was like, we should rule the entire galaxy, and the other tribe was like, I quite literally could not fight my way out of a paper bag. I can't fucking do it.
They did that. They did it to themselves, like on purpose. So
like,
yeah,
listen, but
know.
I quit that game. I cannot do that.
I left that life behind. Anyway, while Grey Voice was doing this, it gave Samus and the other police guys time to escape, and so they got off of Zebes. That's around where the manga ends. Basically, it all sets up. Samus is a powerful fighter. She was raised by the Chozo. And now all of the Chozo are gone. And the planet Zebes is taken over by space pirates. And Mother Brain is leading them from there. And even though Grey Voice and the police were able to beat up the pirates a little bit, they were far from being able to destroy them. And so Zebes has kind of become like a pirate stronghold instead of where the Chozo live. So that's why it's filled with all this Chozo bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's also why it's filled with space pirates.
This makes sense now.
Great. Let us now enter the flashback sequences of Metroid Other M, a shitty game that I don't want to talk too much about, but is part of the canon.
Who's the other M?
Samus is the other M.
That doesn't.
It doesn't matter, Fran. Just don't worry about it.
It's in the middle. Samus.
No, the Metroids are the other M's, but there are other M's. There's more.
But it's Metroid other. What?
It literally means there's more Metroids. It's going to be a trope. Don't worry about it, Fran. All that matters in this segment is Samus is working for the police. She's working for General Malkovich. And then she's like, people don't like how they characterize Samus in this game. She's got a chip on her shoulder because she's a girl, which doesn't make any sense because she was raised by fucking bird people who don't seem to have any concept of that anyway. And she's like trying to prove herself to the other boys in the class, and it's like, this is stupid. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that this flashback sequence shows her not getting along with the rest of the Federation, and so she's like, I can't abide by your rules, and they're like, we can't have some sort of maverick lone gun like you in the police force. Again, I know the irony's not lost on me. And then so she's like, fine, I'm gonna be like a bounty hunter then.
Okay, that's perfectly fine and allowed.
We're totally okay with this. The universe is totally at peace. Nothing's wrong with the galaxy. We do have bounty hunters. They're licensed by the state to perform state licensed killings. It is totally fine.
Yeah, that's okay. That's normal. Super normal.
Samus is a bounty hunter now. That's what we got from that as of right now.
Was that the whole game?
No, that's the flashback to young Samus part of Metroid
that
Other
game.
M.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about the rest of Metroid Other M. It's pretty rough-arena. Oh my god.
Okay, guys.
Yes.
I have great news.
Fabulous.
We have reached the first video game.
Excellent.
Isn't that fantastic news?
Video games. So now we actually get to start talking about video games, because you said earlier we're going to start talking about video games, but then you just started talking about the manga.
Yeah, I know this is hard to believe because of the point we're at in our lives, but this Metroid's actually a video game series. But that's all right. Now that we've laid all of this groundwork, it is gonna go pretty fast through the games because the games don't have a lot of plots. They're Metroidvanias.
I was gonna say, are all the games Metroidvanias?
Yes.
I thought it was just a genre. I knew it wasn't just a genre.
I mean,
but
thank you.
I don't think Other M is.
I was watching a lot of videos, other lore videos and such. I did not get, I don't think, a single frame of gameplay from Other M. I have no idea what Other M is.
Maybe that's why people didn't like it, because it wasn't a Metroid
it's a movie.
It's made by Team Ninja, so
great.
It's
that sounds credible.
One of their kind of games.
Well, I'll let you know when that happens. But first up, we have Metroid, or the remake Metroid Zero Mission. A lot of the older games got remade, and the remakes are really good because the base game is really good. It's just needed some graphical little gameplay updates. But we have the original Metroid. So Samus is a bounty hunter now, and she has been hired by General Malkovich, who, remember, she has some history with. They want to take out these space pirates that are dug into the planet Zebes. And so they're like, Samus, you know the planet. You grew up there. We're going to do a bunch of space battles with the pirates, and while they're distracted, we're going to send you on a solo mission down to Zebes, and you have to go and take out Mother Brain. And Samus is on board with this because A, she's a bounty hunter, and that is her job, but B, she also wants to go and fight Mother Brain, which, again, when the game came out, there wasn't that background motivation of, you enslaved my family of bird people, but whatever. She's also a bounty hunter, so she just does that.
So now she is a government contractor as opposed to a government employee.
Yeah, we'll find that although she is now a bounty hunter, she still pretty much exclusively works for the Federation's Space Force.
I feel like they just don't want to pay for her health insurance.
Yeah,
that's why they.
That might be part of it, Fran. I don't actually know if she can go on maternity leave after all of the genetic mutations she's been through, but I think they just don't want to take the chance.
They're not even going to take the chance at this point.
They're like, well, there's one way to be sure you can't go on maternity leave.
That's true.
No short-term disability for you.
So Samus flies down, and the game Metroid happens. Mother Brain is being protected by two of her generals, Kraid and Ridley. We already met Ridley. He is a space dragon. Kraid is just a big dude. He gets bigger as the series goes on, but he is just a huge dragon kind of guy.
Same species as Ridley?
No.
Or is it just a dude?
Well, so all of the space pirates are kind of like reptilian-ish. It's
Interesting.
kind of implied that the space pirates are all like a similar race.
Okay.
But also
But we're not going to paint it with a wide brush.
Yeah, also they're not. I would say it's kind of like the Covenant from Halo. They're like a bunch of species kind of put together that all have like a common goal. But they are all still kind of reptile-y. But doesn't matter because Samus has been being a bounty hunter now. It's like several years after she was a 14-year-old in the army. And she just kicks major ass now. Like
Nice.
Nothing can stop her. So she's over her PTSD with Ridley at this point. She doesn't give a fuck. So when she meets Ridley and fights him, just kills him. Not even a big
fuck
deal.
That guy.
Puts a million missiles into his face. He dies.
Nice.
Kraid, similar thing. She had no background with Kraid, but whatever.
Doesn't
He's
matter.
a big dead guy now. And by killing these two, she gains access to the Mother Brain. Now is when we can finally talk about the Metroids. That's right. The game's named after them. So what's that?
Wait,
all
her
about?
name's not Metroid? No.
Her name is not. It's Samus. I just told you that.
I was going to start this one out with a good joke about how Metroid's the guy in the space armor. And
Yeah, and everyone would have laughed, and then
everyone will laugh really hard.
Like Zelda swings the sword.
Yes.
Yes, we're funny nerds. Everyone loves us.
All right, I'm glad we got that in.
Yeah, thank God. That definitely made it in. So what we know about the Metroids right now is that they are a creature that absorbs the energy of other living creatures. They suck them dry, as it were. They are capable of, quote, raw energy absorption. And so they're running amok on Zebes, which Samus is like, there shouldn't be a bunch of Metroids running amok here. Well, it turns out that Mother Brain, in an attempt to want to make more bioweapons to take over the galaxy, etc., had been doing Metroid experimentation, cloning the Metroids and making a bunch of them so that she can have another tool in her arsenal to take over the galaxy.
Really got to diversify.
Yeah, well, they are very powerful bioweapons, so it makes sense. So Samus sees that these creatures are around. She knows that she has to kill them because of how dangerous they are. And eventually, so as the game unwinds, and this will happen in every game, so I'll just say it up front. Basically, it's implied that the Chozo have kind of been all over the place, and there's all these Chozo shrines, and they just kind of left pieces of technology behind because that's just what they do. So that other races and civilizations can find them and use them however they want. Probably not the safest thing to
situation.
do. Well, they said that they wanted to kind of step back from the galactic stage and just become like watchers.
Right.
And so they just left their technology lying around, but their technology is like a bunch of super powerful
missile
bombs
launchers,
and like laser beams and shit. But
hey, if you find it, you're real lucky.
Well, fortunately, Samus, who is wearing a Chozo power armor, all of that just integrates seamlessly into her existing technology. And so that is how you get power-ups throughout the game, is by getting all this just leftover Chozo technology that she just kind of absorbs into her armor.
Nice.
And eventually she gets an ice cannon, which she realizes that the Metroid have a weakness to being frozen. They are that seems to be their one weakness. Otherwise, they seem to be pretty much unstoppable. But if you can freeze them to like super low temperatures, they will freeze, and then you're able to destroy them. So using that information, Samus is able to finally get to Mother Brain, blow up Mother Brain, and after she destroys Mother Brain, the entire pirate base has been laced with explosives that are connected to,
no.
I guess, Mother Brain's life force. And so now that Mother Brain is dead, the self-destruct mechanism has been activated, and Samus escapes, of course, just in the nick of time. And all of the Metroids are destroyed in the explosion of the facility, and Samus escapes. And
I'm sure every single Metroid was destroyed.
That's the end of the series.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's it.
That's the end of Metroid. In Metroid Zero Mission, which is the remake, after this happens, a bunch of space pirates are still in space because remember, they're all in space fighting the Federation.
Right, there are space pirates.
That was happening.
Yeah.
And they shoot her down as she is escaping the planet, and so she falls back down onto the planet. And during this crash, her suit breaks, and so she loses all of her cool suit stuff, and hence becomes Zero Suit Samus. Hence the name Metroid Zero Mission. And also where we get the super hot skin that we all know is now an alternate fighter in Super Smash Brothers. And it makes everyone feel very uncontrollable feelings, and it just happens. Well, don't worry, because even without her suit, she's a badass, and she finds the ancient city of Chozodia, which I guess was just like a big Chozo city that was left in ruins, which has a real like Egyptian. You were saying Egyptian pyramid. It has like a real Egyptian pyramid aesthetic, quite honestly. And she goes through the temple. She finds there's like trial thing where they're like, are you really a Chozo? Do you have what it takes to have the Chozo? Like having power armor is more than just being a lady in a suit, don't you know? And then she passes all the trials, and so she gets a new piece of power armor, and this power armor is like connected to her.
Cool.
She is now like she's a true Chozo warrior. And Chozo warriors have like a unique connection to their suits that they are like extensions of themselves. And so she has like a true Chozo suit now. And also at some point Ridley made a robot of himself. And that's the final boss of Zero Mission. So you have to kill robot Ridley.
I mean, isn't that what we're all doing? Is that not? We're all just making robot versions of ourselves.
And then one day we have to kill them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I can't afford
no, we
to
wouldn't
have a
have
kid,
to because
so.
we would die.
Yeah, the next generation's
the robot
women
takes
have
over.
to. But yeah, so Samus does that, and then she escapes the planet again, and it's mission success, baby.
Woo!
So
done.
At this point, the timeline doesn't break off, but there's this whole thing called Metroid Prime. You may have heard of it from the beginning of the episode, and also as the potentially next Metroid game that's going to get released. I'm not going to talk about Metroid Prime in this episode. Maybe if you want to do it in a different episode, we can. It's not part of this. She does it in the timeline, but it doesn't matter because Metroid Prime was made way after these games were. But it has to do with the Phazon stuff. There's like this energy called Phazon, and then she has to fight a dark version of herself made of it.
Yeah.
It's all about that. Anyway, that's where Dark Samus comes from. I don't care about it. It doesn't affect the story. It's all self-contained. So maybe we'll do it later, but I'm not doing it now because we're going to Metroid 2, otherwise known as Metroid Samus Returns. That's the remake of that one.
Yes.
So, before the Federation wanted the Metroids, they're like, that seems like a good thing to have on hand.
Does it?
So they think
I
so. Well, they thought so, Fran, because now
this just
they're
sounds
like
hubris.
Well, now they're like, you know what? We shouldn't have the Metroids. You're right, Samus. They're way too strong. We need to get rid of them. And you know what? We have found some more. You thought you destroyed all of them on Zebes?
Yeah.
But that's not true. We found a whole planet called SR388. And that one is
full of it.
It's chock-a-block full of Metroid. Like, you're not gonna believe. The Metroids, there's so many there, and they're evolving. They're changing into new, more powerful creatures. It turns out that the Metroids grow and change. They didn't know that because they only had all those little young Metroids around. Yeah, in Zebes. But now these are problematic. And the Federation knows just who to call to get rid of Metroids. That's right. Samus Aran, once more, has been hired by the Galactic Federation to destroy all the Metroids on SR388. And so the Metroids on Zebes were reproducing because the Mother Brain was like cloning them with the help of the space pirates. Well, here on SR388, as you figure out through the course of the game, one of the Metroids has evolved to the point of becoming a Mother Metroid, which is capable of spawning other Metroids. So there is a big brood spawn that you need to destroy to stop all of the Metroids, and just get rid of them. We don't even want them in the galaxy anymore. We just want to be done with them.
Like mosquitoes. The ecosystem will recover without them.
Now, I'm going to reveal some shocking news to you, Fran, because we learn a lot about the Metroids in this game, and in the remake, Metroid Samus Returns, they give nice little pictures and like flashbacks to assist us in all of this background lore. But I'll just give it to you. You don't even have to 100% the game. I'll just tell you.
Wow, thank you so much. Saves a lot of time.
Long ago, the Chozo came to SR388, and they were like, this place is pretty cool, but there's this weird little blob thing that keeps infecting stuff, and it seems problematic. Well, what they had discovered was something called Parasite X, or the X parasites. And these little guys will just get inside of any creature and take over the host body, and it will replicate the host body's powers and also amplify them and also reproduce to make more of those things.
Okay.
And so all it knew how to do was to possess things and reproduce. And they were like, that is going to be pretty problematic. I mean, it's isolated to one single planet, and so we could just not go to that planet and tell other people to not go there, but we need to like do something about this. This is going to be a problem. So they're like, wait a second, we're like the smartest scientists in the whole world. Why don't we just figure something out? So they genetically designed a new creature that was capable of absorbing all of the parasite's energy. That's right. The Chozo originally created the Metroids in an attempt to create a natural predator to the X parasite, so that they could eradicate it.
Have we not learned? I guess they're bird species.
They
but
hadn't learned that lesson.
Yeah.
Maybe they've done it before, and it's just like
new
totally
animals
worked.
to get rid of the other animals.
Yeah, no,
per
per our previous analogy, it's like if we wanted to get rid of all the mosquitoes, so we created vampires. Like that'll do it.
Yeah, assuming vampires ate mosquitoes, or I guess maybe if just a mosquito drank from a vampire, they would die. Although, wouldn't that just turn them into vampires? I don't know.
Oh God, no.
No, the vampire mosquitoes.
Oh God.
It doesn't matter because it was a wild success. It was just eating through all of these X parasites.
Well, shit.
It was awesome. They did a great job of genetically engineering them. What they did is when they made them, they're like, what if we have them imprint on us as if like a baby imprints on an adult when it's born? So all of the Metroids would imprint upon the Chozo, and they would just follow them around like pets. And then whenever they saw an X parasite, they would just gobble it up.
These are those little jellyfish brain things, right? That's what the Metroids are.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
unnerving.
didn't really describe them. Yeah, they have like a see-through orb head with like little red spores inside of it, and then they have like little claws at the bottom that are like teeth that suck. They attach and suck on you.
Like the lampreys.
They do a suck.
And the X parasites are literally just like little like wobbly
amoeba.
blobs.
Yeah.
I feel like they might have over-engineered the natural predator.
Well, they wanted it to be the perfect predator, and this goes back to when Samus was young, because they had this idea of creating like the ultimate warrior. I guess Metroid in Chozo language means ultimate warrior, because it was designed to be an unstoppable killing force.
That
which again
imprints on you like a duckling.
Well, so
because they're all bird people.
Well, the thing is, the Machins were like, we just want this as a sick ass weapon that would make it very easy to destroy any of our enemies. But the Toha were like, well, we want them to be a little more controllable, so we'll have them imprint on us like little babies. And so actually, it would seem as though the Metroids specifically only imprint on the Toha and not on the Machins, as will come up a little bit later.
Oh.
But for the most part, it was a great success. It seems that the X parasite was completely eliminated from SR388, but as the Metroids absorbed more and more energy from the X parasites, they began to evolve and to become uncontrollable, even by the Toha. And they eventually became a huge problem and started eating all of the Chozo. Yeah, who could have seen that coming?
Not the Chozo.
So they were like, all right, these Metroids are problematic. We need to seal them away inside the planet.
What if we created a species that could eat all of these Metroids?
Have they thought about turning them all into stone? Or putting them in the moon? There's a couple options here.
We're not. No.
Listen, Fran, they can freeze them. I don't know if that was like a design flaw or if they made them that way, but that's kind of like turning them into
brains?
Stone.
And it's brain freeze? Is that the cute little thing about it?
I think that might kind of be part of it, but also just because like your last weapon upgrade you get is the freeze ray, so
always, yeah.
Well, at least in the first one it was, and then they just kept that. But anyway, the Metroids kept evolving. The Toha couldn't keep them in check, and so they employed the help of the Machins again, who are like, guys, we got to do something about this. And the Machins are like, yeah, we do have to do something about this. And so the Machins killed all of the Toha. And they're like, haha, finally, we have all of these sick-ass Metroids. I am so happy. They were so pumped about it. They're like, we're going to go back to our cool planet we've been hanging out on called ZDR. And we're going to get a bunch of Machin guys, and we're going to bring them over here, and we're going to get all the Metroids we can carry. We're going to bring them back home, and then we're going to have a bunch of sick-ass Metroids we can do experiments on. So they pieced out. All of the other Toha are dead. And the Metroids some of them are contained within the core of the planet, but a lot of them are just out and about, evolving, being mischievous, and that is what the Federation saw, so they're like, all right, Samus, go take care of this. So Ravenbeak, the leader of the Machins, you remember that guy?
Yes.
He's the one who did all this stuff. He was leading the Machins while he was doing that. He killed all of the Toha except for one by the name of Quiet Robe. He wanted to keep him because he wants to do all these Metroid experiments, and Quiet Robe is a scientist guy who knows how all of this...
keep that lead scientist, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So, Ravenbeak brings Quiet Robe back to the planet ZDR, and that is why all these Metroids are running amok but there's no Chozo to deal with them right now. So Samus is being called in from the Federation. They're like, get rid of the Metroids. We don't want any more of them. Absolutely destroy them. And she's like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Okay.
Samus also feels a little bit of responsibility for this. So they were working on the Metroids while she was growing up and training. She knows a little bit about them. And so she thinks it is her responsibility to protect the world from this rogue Chozo technology.
Right. The sins of the bird father.
Exactly, Ethan. They weigh heavy on the bird daughter. But it's not really a problem for Samus. Again, this is the gameplay of the game, but she flies through it. She's killing Metroids. She's blowing them away.
Kicking ass.
The Metroids are all at different stages in their evolution. There's Alpha, Beta, Gamma, and like Omega Metroids. And it's all based on like what their favorite movies are. Like if they like The Godfather, obviously Alphas. That kind of stuff. But she cuts through all of that and eventually is able to destroy the Mother Metroid, which completes her mission. She's like, we're good. We got rid of all the Metroids on the planet, and now I can go. But oh, what's this? She looks on the ground, and there is a single egg. And as the egg hatches, a little Metroid comes out.
Uh-oh.
And she's getting ready to blow it away, but then the Metroid is like, oh, mama, because that's right. Samus has a bunch of Toha DNA inside of her, and so the Metroid immediately imprints upon her as its mama, and it becomes her little pet. And so she's like, okay, I will spare this. I will spare this being, as my character flaw, as stated earlier, was that I have too much compassion.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
And so
it's her Metroid. It's not like those other Metroids.
It's true. And so she gets ready to get off the planet, but a rogue space pirate comes down, and not just any space pirate. It's Ridley. That's right. I thought he was dead. We killed him.
I thought he was a robot.
And blew up his whole base and then killed the robot version of him. The robot version of him wasn't him as a robot. This is I have to clarify because there is Meta Ridley,
it's important.
Which is Ridley who has robot parts in him to make Metal Ridley. But then there's Robot Ridley, who is just a robot made by Ridley to look like Ridley.
Okay, in his likeness.
Yeah,
Got it.
So the robot's dead, but Ridley.
Oh, okay.
So Ridley dies a bunch, but just comes back.
Ridley could give Metal Sonic a run for his money.
Yeah, he really could. He survived. I mean, he also technically got blown up in the manga too when all the crystals exploded. I didn't even go into that, but he survived that one too. He survived Samus killing him the first time, and he's back.
It's
and
real durable.
He wants that Metroid, but instead of getting that Metroid in the way he wanted, the Metroid sucks his energy out of him and gives some of it to Samus, and Samus is able to use this to kill Ridley again. And then
For sure this time.
And then at this point, Samus pieces out and says, okay, I am going to take my little son, my new sweet boy, and I'm going to go back to the scientists, and I'm going to be like, I killed all of the Metroids as requested. Except this one. And they were like, you know what? You know what, Samus? I think we'll allow us to do research on that instead. But for good, not for evil.
Good reasons, yes.
And that is the plot of Samus Returns. So SR-388 is completely devoid of Metroids now. All good. Gone. But Fran, you foolish girl. There's a post-credits scene, a la The Avengers. And
is it like a mid-credit or like a post-credit?
It's actually kind of a pre-credit. It's an epilogue, I would say. But we see the planet SR-388, and what's this? A little yellow blob is infecting some of the wildlife, and it transforms it into a more beastly version. It would seem as though the X parasite is not as killed by all the Metroids as we would have thought. I'm sure that won't come back later, though.
I'm sure that's fine. It's fine. There's got to be other ways to get rid of that parasite these days besides that one Metroid that exists. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, so there's a couple things. The X parasites don't actually show up in the next game, really. But what is important is that there were X parasites on the planet when the Chozo were there, if you recall. And they were there for a while and then decided to peace out. And as we've learned from, I don't know, I guess the past few years, it really only takes one or two travelers to really kind of set things in motion.
Patient zero here.
Yeah, so, whatever. Let's move on to Super Metroid, the next Metroid in the series. Again, the Metroid, the little baby Metroid, has been given to the scientists. Samus is like, all right, you're in good hands. I'm going to go be a bounty hunter. I will see you guys. Let me know if there's any problems. She leaves the science facility, and about 3 seconds later, she gets a call from the science facility, and they're like, help, we're being attacked by space pirates, which is just bananas.
Guys.
It's kind of wild because they're being led by Ridley. Ah, man, he's back again already. What's up with this guy? I literally just killed him on the planet. Well, it turns out he wasn't dead, and he followed her to the space facility where they're doing tests on this little baby, and he steals the little baby back, and he goes back to Zebes. He's like, we're still on Zebes, idiot. And I'm taking this little space baby with me, and we're going to make so many Metroids. We're going to take over the world. We're going to do more cloning on them. You're going to see. You'll all see.
I have learned nothing.
I mean, it is. So, and just so you know, at the beginning of every game, there is a reason Samus doesn't have any of her powers anymore from the previous game. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason that the place she's in is filled with space pirates again. So at this point,
baby.
At this point, the baby, I don't know, whatever. So she goes back to Zebes, which has mostly been destroyed. If you recall, it blew up for the most part.
Yeah.
But
like Ridley, it just keeps coming back.
Well, not only that, it would seem as though Mother Brain has somehow survived their initial encounter. And Kraid, even, if you can believe, is there too.
What?
Doesn't just to check here, don't when you kill Kraid he turn into a skeleton?
Don't worry about that, just minor setback.
Yeah, well, listen, in some of the later ones it makes a little more sense, but in this one, yeah, they're all here. So
the gang's all back.
All here. Samus goes back to Zebes. She kills Kraid again. She kills Ridley again. There's two more guys. There's Fantoon and Dragon. Drag on my nuts all over their face, more like, Samus says as she kills them. They're dead too now. But this time, for real. Kinda.
I don't know about that.
Don't worry.
The track record here isn't too great.
This
in terms of
I'll say this Ridley,
other than her parents,
from this Ridley's perspective, is dead now for sure, for sure. But anyway, they cloned a bunch of Metroids again. These Metroids that they're making, though, are kind of subpar Metroids. Samus is able to just kind of blast through them, no problem.
They don't know what they're doing.
Until she gets to a big Metroid, which is I'd say 8 times the size of a normal Metroid. And this Metroid is not so easily killed. In fact, this Metroid latches onto Samus and starts to suck her dry. And she is going to die from Metroid exposure. But just as she is about to perish, it lets go of her because it recognizes her. That's right, Fran. The baby Metroid grew into this big Metroid and recognized
Has it been like
its
2
mama.
weeks?
It's been like a day. It's been like
Okay.
one day. But
one day,
Metroids-
man. They grow up so fast.
Well, yeah,
My goodness.
it's implied Metroids grow based on like how much they absorb. So I guess it's just been absolutely
Really,
going to town
real
on this
hungry.
planet. Well,
Real
it's been
hungry.
it's been eating a lot of the space pirates as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
they've done a really bad job of containing it.
Yeah. But
but-
did it give Samus back her life force after sucking most of it out? Or just like stopped?
It just like stopped. But
Okay.
there's like a save station right afterwards. You get all your health back, so it doesn't
Oh,
really
okay,
matter.
that's fine.
But the baby is somewhere around here. But Samus doesn't have time for any babies because Mother Brain's here, obviously, pulling the strings as usual.
As usual.
She again is like, Mother Brain's a Chozo thing. I need to shut her down. She's problematic. She sheds a bad light on my people. And so she goes and she fights Mother Brain and she destroys her. But this time, when she destroys Mother Brain, she transforms into like a big Tyrannosaurus monster with a head. With their head is Mother Brain.
Yeah.
And
What?
and it shoots lasers. So Mother Brain is literally just a brain in a jar with a big eyeball that shoots lasers.
Yeah.
But now she's Mega Mother Brain, Grandmother Brain, if you will.
Okay.
And
it happens to look like a dinosaur.
yeah, her body's a dinosaur now.
Interesting.
But her head's still Mother Brain.
Okay.
But no matter the form she takes, even Samus, being as kick-ass as she is, cannot defeat this superpowered Mother Brain. And so she is going to perish. Except for the baby, Fran. It swoops in and grabs onto Mother Brain's brain and sucks Mother Brain dry.
Oh my.
And this time, it does give Samus all of the energy that it sucked from Mother Brain.
Wow.
But Mother Brain is not pleased with this, and
I'm sure
does a hyper beam onto the baby Metroid, killing it.
No.
Which really
baby Metroid.
Yeah, that really pisses off Samus. So she uses the energy that she was given to do a hyper beam into Mother Brain's face until she dies, and that is how you kill Mother Brain. And this Mother Brain is dead forever.
Actually?
Yes.
But this underline.
But unfortunately, she's back to her old trick. She wired up a bunch of explosives to go off after you killed her. But this time she was like, what if I made the whole planet explode instead? So this time, all of Zebes is set to explode now that she has died. So you are running off the planet. You have the decision of whether or not you want to save a bunch of random creatures that are on the planet or not.
Nah.
Doesn't matter. Save those frames. You get into your spaceship. You fly away, and all of Zebes is destroyed, and with it, all of the Metroids are gone. And
truly,
Samus. I mean, the whole planet is gone. Like literally, it is entirely
but the
destroyed.
Metroids
like
are definitely gone.
The Metroids have been defeated. Not even the baby Metroid remains. And Samus has completed her mission. And there's also no more space pirates because they blew up. I mean, every
single space pirate was on that planet.
Maybe not everyone, but that was most of them. So
okay, most of like the big wig ones, like the big names.
Yeah, all the leaders are gone. So surely they will disperse.
Surely there won't be a power vacuum or anything.
Yeah, and so it's great. That is the end of Super Metroid. Next up is Other M. Now, this is a really good game, as we've already mentioned. I don't know what the gameplay is of this game. Again, I'm pretty sure it's just a bunch of characters talking to each other. It is a lot. It's a lot of dialogue. I won't skip it, but let me just give you the shit that matters, and that's it. Because goddamn, this game is pretty not good. There's a bunch of humans called the ringleaders. We find this out later, but whatever, I'll just tell you. They want to use the Metroids for evil, if you can believe.
Wow, what? Amazing. But there
there's-
are no Metroids left, CJ.
I know. Well, that's the
What?
thing. Well, the thing is, Fran, remember when Samus got sucked on by that baby Metroid for a while?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it turns out that the Metroid left some of its DNA on Samus when it did that. And
Ew.
also when Ridley and Samus were fighting, he left some of his DNA on Samus's suit when they were fighting.
Ew.
And then Samus went back to him and like blew up your planet for you. They're like, "That's great, Samus. Let's get you out of that stank, dirty suit and into some blue spandex." And she was like, "Okay, sounds great." And while she was getting her suit cleaned, they're like, "Hey, boss, we found some Metroid DNA and some Ridley DNA. What do you want us to do with that?" And he's like, "Oh, you better fucking believe we're gonna start doing some cloning bullshit on that." So they're cloning some Metroids. They cloned Ridley for some fucking reason.
So are all the Metroids her babies now because they're clones?
No, but see, that's the thing, Fran. They know that the Metroids need to imprint on something. And all of the cloned Metroids on Zebes were imprinting onto Mother Brain, except for the one that imprinted on Samus. So they were like, what we need to do is make some sort of Mother Brain in order to have people imprint on them so we can control them.
Oh, God.
Well, and they're like, well, we made this super intelligent AI, but it's just a computer program. And they're like, well, just give it a human body then and give it some stupid name like Melissa Bergman or something, whose initials are MB. And then and you'll use that, it will use her, and then they'll all imprint on her, and then we'll control her, and then we will do that. But then Melissa Bergman starts to think human emotions and starts to contradict all the other people and does the exact same thing that Mother Brain did, and then took over with all the Metroids. At this point, Samus has just like fucked off. She was like there. She was like, all right, I did my job. See ya.
Peace.
And so they did all these experiments. There was this little little bunny creature. And they're like, oh, it's so cute. It's one of our genetic experiments. And then it like eats a person.
Oh.
And then throughout the game, you see its like body, it like molted out of the back of the body after it ate enough people. And then it was like a little reptile thing that was like running around. Is it Ridley? And then it kept eating people. And then later in the game, you figure out that that's just what Ridley looks like when he was a baby.
Oh, God.
So you get to see Ridley as a baby for a while. That's kind of fun. He was just like a little bunny raptor.
I don't think people wanted that.
I wanted that.
Did you want to know that?
Yeah, hell yeah, I wanted that. Are you kidding me? That's the best part of this game.
That's probably the best part of this game.
Oh my.
Anyway, so they call the new Mother Brain AI MB because fucking who gives a shit? And then she gives herself the name Melissa Bergman. And then one of the scientists that made her was named Madeline Bergman.
Oh my God.
So she kind of like imprints on her as a mother figure. But then all of the like ringleader bad guys wanted to make her do a bunch of bad stuff she didn't want to do. So then she like killed them all by using all the Metroids. And there's a lot of like backstabbing. And then the Federation is like, all right, you remember General Malkovich, right? We're going to send him and a team of people back in there to deal with this stuff. But one of the people is actually a traitor, and it might be General Malkovich. That would be kind of crazy. And then they're also like, Samus, you go back in there and deal with this shit, because I don't know. I don't know. It's a Metroid game. And then so she's in there, and then she's like, General Malkovich, and he's like, Samus, long time no see. And then she's like, do you have something to do with this? And he's like, no, definitely not. And then, but then it doesn't matter. It was all a red herring. It was just some random guy on his team. He was the traitor. He was killing all the other team members until it was only the general left. And you're like, oh, it must be the general. But no, it was the other guy. And then, and then they find MB, And then she's like, I'm just a normal girl. And they're like, well, we got to get you off of this space station. And then she's like, no, actually, I'm an evil AI who's controlling all of the new Metroids. And then also I made a new Metroid queen who's imprinted on me. So she makes me more Metroids. And Samus is like, damn, I guess I got to kill another Metroid queen. This is just like the last game, except way more trite. And a lot more people are talking and they're saying a lot of things I just don't give a shit about. But General Malkovich figures it out, but he loses communication with Samus, and it's like, oh no, this is problematic. But then he's like, listen, I can save everyone by fucking killing myself and flying this satellite. I can fly the satellite, by the way, and I can drive it into the planet and destroy the satellite with all the Metroids on it and with the new mother brain and everything. And Samus is like, no, I should do it. And he's like, no, Samus, you're a strong female lead. The world needs you more than it needs me, and you're the protector of the world or whatever, and I'm gonna fucking kill myself, and you have to get out of here. And then she's like, okay. And so he does that, and then he's dead now. So the General Adam Malkovich is dead. He sacrifices himself to get rid of all the space. Oh, they were cloning space pirates too, which, like, who gives a shit? Whatever.
Okay, so which one is the M? Is it Malkovich? Is it Melissa Bergman? Is it more Metroids?
It's
new Metroid
there's
Queen?
There's other M's, Fran. Well, so
there's so many of them.
The whole game,
you're
looking for Madeline Malkovich, who the mother brain AI lies and says that she's Madeline Malkovich. But she's lying because she hid the real one away and is just pretending to be her. But then they find her, and then they're like, well, who's that? And they're like, oh, that's MB, Mother Brain 2, Electric Boogaloo. So maybe she's the other M.
There's a lot of M's. There's just too many of them.
Keep in mind, this is the same game where they flash back, and they're like, Samus is in the army. But she's got a chip on her shoulder with something to prove. And I don't know, who gives a shit. Anyway, that game's over now, probably. So who gives it? Oh, Ridley was there, and you killed him.
Yeah, he was a baby.
And he was an adult when you killed him because he molted. He's like Cell. He just eats people and then like evolves into his next stage. I mean, he literally is.
Yeah.
It's terrible. But don't worry, that game's over now. We don't have to worry about it. I cut out so much of that stupid
I believe
game. But don't worry about it. It doesn't matter because, again, this game came out later than the next game, which is Metroid Fusion, a good game by all accounts, which is great. So we didn't actually know about the X parasites yet. Technically, we only knew because the remakes made mention to them. But this is the first actual game that originally had reference to the X parasites.
Right.
The Metroid series, they don't do a lot of straight up retconning, but they do a lot of like putting connective tissue in after the fact.
Yeah.
It was here the whole time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I will say it does a pretty good job of like folding everything in with the remakes. But a lot of it is very tenuously held together. And people really don't like to include Metroid Other M in the chronology because they don't like it. But because it is one of the most recently made games and it takes place between two of the older games, they did have the benefit of like knowing where that game ended and where the next game had to begin. So it does have the most like narrative clarity in a way, but in the same way they're trying to connect two things that weren't super like cohesive to begin with, and so you get a lot of bullshit, a lot of dumb politics nobody cares about. And again, of everything I've seen, it was just cutscenes, so I don't actually know when you play a video game. I know that when she destroys the Metroid Queen, she rolls into a ball and goes down its throat and then plants a super bomb in its tummy and it explodes from the inside, which is fucking foul. Anyway, let's get to it. We're almost there. We've got Metroid Fusion now. This is a good Metroid game. It is an older one. But they go back to SR388. The ecosystem is healing after Samus destroyed all of the Metroids. She did actually kill all the Metroids. The Federation creates a new satellite that orbits the planet. They call it the BSL. It's a research station that they're using to kind of like monitor the area, check for Metroids, make sure nothing bad's going on. But while they are going to the planet's still incredibly hostile with all of its dangerous animals and stuff, you know, even beyond the Metroids. So they're like, hey, Samus, can you help us out with this? We'll pay you money. And she's like, yeah, I'm a bounty hunter. That's what I do. And so she goes down onto the planet and is checking things out. And she discovers an X-parasite for the first time. Without the Metroids eating them all, they have also been allowed to reproduce and have been starting to increase their numbers. And Samus gets infected with an X-parasite. And that has not happened to a human before. And so things are going bad for her. But they take her back up to the BSL. And they are trying to save her life. The infection it infects not only her body, but it infects her suit as well, because as we recall from before, the suit is like an extension of her in a lot of ways. And so she is like dying, and they are trying to get rid of the suit, but the suit's like attached to her, part of her, because she can't get out of it unless she like wills it, I guess. And so since she's unconscious from all of this, they're just like taking chunks of her suit off and like patchworking stuff back onto her. And so she has like a new weird biological looking suit in this one. And they are able to save her life by taking out enough of the infection. But it is not enough on its own. In fact, they say so this is the part where the amount of retconning they had starts to this is where it initially began. The humans are like, listen, Samus, don't be mad at us. But we did keep a Metroid from earlier. It's not a bad thing though. We're doing it for good this time. We did have one lying around. I don't remember which one it actually was. But
don't worry about it.
Hey, good news. We think we can take this Metroid DNA. I think they did get it from the last game, quite honestly. They killed all of the Metroids, but they still had some of its DNA lying around. So they're like, we took the Metroid DNA, which has the ability to absorb the X-parasite. We're pretty sure. We don't know. We think this might work, but we
I'm
know
not a
we know
scientist.
that we know. Wait a second. No. We know that Metroids absorb things, so we figured we would just inject you with some DNA of a Metroid, and you'll be fine, probably. And then she was, and it's like, oh, that's fantastic news.
Just 4 DNAs rolling around in there. Everything's fine.
She's like, how did you know that my Chozo DNA would fight off the Metroid DNA? And they're like, you're what now? But fortunately, the Metroid DNA does absorb the X-parasite that's inside of her body. Not only that, it transforms her biology so that she is now able to absorb any X-parasite.
Ooh.
But it comes with a drawback because she has become part Metroid. She is now vulnerable to cold environments because
brain freezes, man.
Yeah. She has inherited.
Gnarly.
She has inherited the X-parasite. She's inherited the Metroid's bad habit of getting brain freezes, and she can't have ice cream anymore. And she says, "I would rather die than not have my B&J." She is now determined to destroy the X-parasites. But remember all those armor pieces that they took off of her? That's kind of biological and also infected with a bunch of X-parasite DNA.
I'm sure that's fine.
Well, it becomes a sentient suit of armor called the Samus Aran X, or the SAX, or the Sax, I guess, which is just very
Sax
silly.
man?
Yeah, it's just the six saxophone riff is now loose within the science facility. So
the terror.
I mean, that wouldn't be that bad if you're asking me. But so Samus is like, I don't want to fight that because that is my fully powered up suit. Remember, there's a reason that she doesn't have her full powered suit in every game. She's like, that's my fully powered suit that's sentient, and it's an X-Parasite, so it hates Metroids, and I'm a Metroid, and my fully powered suit includes a frozen beam that shoots freeze beams that will now kill me, so I cannot fight that, or it is going to destroy me.
Also, it does have a missile launcher as well.
Well, she seems to be less like
a little more concerned
deterred by that,
ray.
but the freeze ray is problematic. So now she is avoiding the SAX, while at the same time trying to deal with the rest of the X-Parasites. Also, while she was getting fixed up by the Federation guys, they put an AI into her head to be like a little Navi. This is stupid.
That sounds awful.
Do you remember Adam Malkovich, the guy from before who fucking killed himself? Well, fortunately, they Elon Musk controls the future, and so he has everyone important in the Federation upload their consciousness to the cloud or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the AI that they put into Samus is based on Adam's uploaded consciousness from before. So it's not exactly him, and he doesn't remember that he's an uploaded consciousness because it's like a Black Mirror episode, but also he is Adam's. He acts like Adam, and then Samus goes, "Huh, AI, you act a lot like Adam," but she doesn't say that. She keeps that to herself.
Okay.
But whatever. So he's narrating, I guess, but that's a problem because Adam was loyal to the Federation, but the Federation, if you recall, had that group, the ringleaders that existed within it that was doing the bad thing. So now the ringleaders are manipulating the AI version of Adam to manipulate Samus, who's part Metroid now, into doing certain things that she maybe wouldn't normally do, because the ringleaders are behind this whole thing because they want to get a Metroid and maybe a X-Parasite now that we're talking about it. In fact, they think to themselves, this Samus Aran suit, the X version of it, we like that. We think we should make more of those. So that's their plan. So whatever. Also, remember, I specifically said the X-Parasite's whole deal is to infect things and reproduce. Well, there's lots of SAXs now. They're all over the darn place. So, that's a problem. But the good news is Samus is still a Metroid in her body, and the suits are still SAXs, which means they're X-Parasites, which means her DNA wants to eat that DNA for sure. But they're still doing experiments with Metroids on the ship. Remember, that's how they had the DNA to inject her in the first place. And what do Metroids do?
I love it. I love this.
They eat X-Parasites, and then they evolve into uncontrollable monsters, which is what they did as well. So now Samus is fighting the X-Parasite suits, but she's also fighting the big Metroids that have been eating all the other X-Parasite suits and getting bigger. But
they're just developing a new ecosystem in the ship.
The main X-Parasite suit. So you get these moments where like the SAXs are like getting ready to fight you, but then all these Metroids show up, and then they just start attacking the Metroids and like ignoring you, because they just fucking hate the Metroids. And the Metroids are just trying to eat all the suits because they just fucking hate the suits. And you're just there like, okay. And then the AI Adam is like, hey, we should well, maybe we should help the suits now, because that could be pretty cool. Anyway, Samus is like, no, fuck this. Adam, did you know that you're a clone of my friend Adam, but in an AI form? And he's like, that's not possible. And then she's like, the real Adam would have, she's like, I'm gonna kill myself and plow this spaceship with all of these X-parasites and Metroids and just destroy all of it, because that's what my good friend Adam would have done and did do previously. And he was like, and then the AI is like, Adam, wait, that's me, isn't it? And she's like, yeah, I think so. And then he's like, oh yeah, I remember now. I'm a uploaded consciousness of that guy who killed himself, except I don't remember that part because I didn't do that part. But he's like, I know that Adam would not want you to do that because he would have done that instead of you.
Which he did.
So
I mean, he's not wrong. All data is true here.
So he's like, I'll kill myself. he says, I AI Adam will kill myself by slamming this spaceship filled with these monsters and destroying all of them, as I have done historically. And Samus is like, that's a great idea. A great idea.
Great idea.
And then Samus goes, all right, I'll get an escape pod and get the hell out of here. Well, that happens
again.
But then one of the monster Metroids is like stopping her from getting it, because I don't know, it's just a monster Metroid. It wants to destroy everything. But then the main SAX that was following Samus just starts going nutso on it. She's like, I fucking hate that thing. That's everything I stand against. But then I guess the SAX realizes that she cannot defeat the Metroid in this advanced form. So the SAX says to itself, the only way to beat this Metroid is if I allow real Samus to absorb me, as I am an SAX. And by allowing her to absorb me and all of my powers, she will become strong enough to be able to defeat the Metroid, and that's all I care about because I hate Metroid so goddamn much.
Wow. And really goal-focused.
So they do that. Samus gets the Omega suit, which is she gets her orange suit back, but now it's all super powered because she has the power of Metroid and X and the two Chozos. And she's a human kind of still, and she uses that ultimate power to defeat the Metroid, and then AI Adam fucking makes the ship explode. But this time he's an AI, so he just re-uploads himself into Samus's ship and is like, I'm back again, baby. I'm gonna be in the next game, and CJ's gonna be really confused by it because you're just in the next game, and I don't know why. But they destroy all the Metroids and the X-parasites, and Samus is restored, and she's not a monster, a combination, a sort of homunculus of other creatures, a chimera, if you will, and everything is fine. Except, I made that tactless COVID joke earlier, because... You remember Raven Beak, that guy we haven't heard about in so long? He accidentally tracked some of that stuff back to XDR, that other planet that they're hanging out on. And he's like seeing all of this, I guess. And so he's like, I want Metroids. I have wanted Metroids this whole time. And Samus killed all the Metroids. But wait. There's Metroid DNA in Samus. This is Metroid Dread, by the way. She has them inside of her. I'm gonna say, hey, Federation, I heard that you have these new robots called Emmys, which, whatever.
Really?
And they're made out of indestructible material, but also have this thing that can absorb DNA. Because you invented them to go get DNA samples from things like Metroids and other things that you're too scared of to physically be around. Fair. So I'm gonna pretend like there's X parasites on this planet so that you will send them here. Except there are actually X parasites on this planet, so I'm actually just giving you a picture, and then you're gonna be like, oh, I want to get some of that. I'm gonna send all those Emmys out there to go get it, and they do, and Ravenbeak's too strong, and he overpowers the Emmys because he's such a cool fighter. He's even stronger than the strongest robots. And Quiet Robe, remember Quiet Robe? He's still there.
Yep.
And
the one scientist that actually knows how to do shit.
Right. And so Ravenbeak's like, Quiet Robe, you make these Emmys work for us. And he's like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And he's like, yes, my plan's fucking working. Now I'm going to send a picture of the X parasite to Samus Aran, and she's gonna be so pissed off that they still exist. She's gonna come and try and kill them. And then she does do that. And Ravenbeak shows up, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you now and take your DNA and make Metroids. Okay. Remember way earlier when I said that the Toha made the Metroids imprint on the Toha, but there actually isn't any mechanism to like imprint on the Mockin because they didn't want the Mockin using them for evil?
Yes.
Well, once
Samus showed up?
Once Ravenbeak, who's a Mockin, was about to kill Samus, it awoken the Metroid DNA that's inside of her to be really pissed off because she's like, you're not a Toha. I hate you. I hate X, and I hate Mockins. And I mean, maybe I hate humans too. I don't know, but I'm so pissed off right now. And so she starts to enable a bunch of Metroid powers.
Oh shit.
And so instead of killing her, Ravenbeak is like, okay, wait though, because I wanted a Metroid, but you know what's better than a Metroid? A Metroid Samus. That could be some actually super cool shit. So let's just see where this goes, right?
And just keep awakening those powers.
If she becomes epic, I'll use the Emmys to suck out her DNA and take that. And if she dies in the process, then I'll just do the original plan and just make the Metroids. Or win-win, as they say.
All right.
And so Samus has got to go through the whole game. She's like unlocking her Metroid powers. I didn't like this game very much. Ethan didn't like this game very much. We played it on the channel. Go watch that if you want to hear a bunch of grown men complain about video games for like an hour. Which why wouldn't you want that, quite honestly? Anyway, eventually Samus meets Quiet Robe, and she's like, hey, dick, why are you making all of these robots fight me? And Quiet Robe's like, I gotta be honest with you, I don't really have a choice in the matter. I don't like Ravenbeak. I don't like his whole agenda. I don't want to die, if I'm being totally honest with you. I reprogrammed all those things. But I still believe in the Toha dream that you, Samus, are the protector of mankind. I know that you can figure this out. And I believe in you. Please save everybody. And then as he says that, one of Ravenbeak's robots kill him. Ravenbeak has a bunch of robots because they can't get infected by X. And I mean, everyone else is dead. They all got infected by X and died. So, so that's who he has left to work for him is robots. He's got robots he's got Chozo robots that look like Chozo, and then he's got the Emmys that, whatever.
Is there a Ridley robot?
There is not in this one, actually.
Oh, surprising. Truly.
No, there was. Sorry, I apologize, Fran. There was one back in Metroid Fusion. Remember that she killed Ridley clone. Well, when Ridley clone died, they froze him. They cryogenically froze him and then in Metroid Fusion they brought him back, and then they revived him, and then you have to fight him in Metroid Fusion. but it's the revived clone of Ridley at that point. So
right.
But I don't think he's in this game. I don't remember him in this game. I hope not. Anyway, Samus is unlocking her powers of Metroid. Quiet Robe is dead, and unfortunately, there's a bunch of X parasites that live here, and they don't care if the guy's dead. So he's Quiet Robe X now. The biggest thing is Samus. We're so close. We're almost done. Samus unlocks her full Metroid powers in her last fight with Ravenbeak. The whole time Adam has been being like, hey, you got to get to the center of this place. You got to figure all this out. Blah, blah, blah. But it turns out that Adam is trying to talk to her from her ship, which is in orbit. But Ravenbeak was blocking all the transmissions, and then he was just pretending to be Adam, which at that point, why even have Adam?
Why?
I don't know, whatever.
Why?
Anyway,
okay.
Ravenbeak was baiting her the whole time, is the point.
Okay.
And
sure.
he was he was goading her on to unlock all of these latent Metroid abilities, and she finally did, and he's like, awesome, perfect. You are a Metroid now. I'm going to clone you and make Metroid Samus and use it to take over the world because all my Chozo are dead because of the X parasite, which is a bummer. But this is great though. This is going to be a boon for us.
So much cooler.
And so they fight, and he's about to kill her, but Samus has unlocked her full potential as a Metroid. So she sucks him until he sucks him dry. There's no more. She does the Metroid thing, and she becomes full Metroid Samus. She gets a new suit that is all green and organic because she is now evolved to a new Samus, and she's a little bit out of control, quite honestly, even though as the player you're still controlling her. But she has defeated Ravenbeak, and he's dead now. But the X Parasite doesn't care if you're dead, so they infect him with a bunch of X Parasite, and now he is X Ravenbeak. But Samus is a Metroid now, so she fucking hates X, and so she's like, I'm gonna kill you so hard again. And so you fight again, and you kill Ravenbeak, and then you're like, thank God, Ravenbeak's dead. Uh-oh, he wired up all of XDR to explode if he dies.
Oh my God.
I gotta get the fuck out of here. So you run back to the ship, and you're getting ready to take off to the ship, and and then Adam's there for real, and he's like, are you Metroid now? And she's like, yeah, it's no big deal, whatever. And then he's like, you can't initiate the ship, because if you initiate the ship with your Metroid powers, you will absorb all of the energy out of the ship, and we won't be able to take off. And she's like, fuck, well, we're dead now then. But then Quiet Robe X shows up, and he's like, although I am an X parasite and Quiet Robe, I know that I know what I have to do. I'm here, I'm talking to you, Samus, and I'm doing the thing from before. Remember in the previous game where the one X parasite was like, I know you will kill more Metroids if I combine with you than if I didn't do that. And I'm also a little bit
aren't all Metroids dead at this point except her?
Well, that's the other thing. They're like, well, here's the thing. I can't kill you. You're so strong. But maybe you, Samus, the human, somewhere swimming around in all the gene pools in there, maybe you still want to be Samus, and I am an X, and I hate Metroids. If you let me combine with you, I could maybe cancel out some of that Metroid. And also, Ravenbeak's in here, and so maybe his Chozo stuff will cancel out some of the Metroid. That seems good. So why don't you let we go into you, multiple you, and we'll turn you back into normal Samus. How about that? And you're like, well, I can't take off because I'm too Metroid, so do that.
Sure.
So do that. So
seems
then
fine.
Quiet Robe becomes an X and infects Samus again with X/. Toha Chozo DNA, which devolves her from Ultimate back down into Samus, rookie level, who just has regular Samus powers. And then she's able to initiate her ship because she's not a Metroid anymore. And the ship takes off, and ZDR explodes. And all of the X-Parasites are for sure gone. The X-Parasites are gone. The Metroids are gone. The Emmys destroyed. The Emmys have not been good for a long time, so that everyone saw that coming. And every Chozo in the universe probably is dead now. And there's Samus, who is A-OK, universe saved. We've done it. We got we did it, everyone.
Thank God.
And that's it. And the new Metroid, if it is a Metroid Prime, is probably going to take place in that Metroid Prime area that I skipped over.
Okay.
And there's like a bounty hunter who's been hinted at being the big villain through all the Metroid Primes, and it seems like he maybe got his hands on a Metroid egg, so he probably has a Metroid. But that's probably also going to take. Yeah, that's probably also going to take place in like the past at this point, so it probably won't affect anything anymore.
And maybe it'll retcon a couple things.
Who knows?
Yeah,
but
well,
you know what?
What's that?
Well, what do you know? What is it, Ethan? What is it, boy?
I was just gonna say that I'm pretty proud of this episode. We talked an awful lot about sucking, and I didn't make a joke about it once.
I would say even my delivery of it was sort of sucking adjacent, though, right? I would say. I would say
you
as
really
things,
laid it on thick there at the last one.
I would say as things go, I was sort of working the balls of that joke, if you will. Just keeping it moving. Well, I'm proud of you, Ethan, for that restraint, and I'm proud of you, our loyal listeners, for making it to the end of. That's right, another episode. This one is over, and I didn't know if it was going to happen. It's been a busy couple weeks for all of us. I didn't know all this bullshit about Metroid a couple days ago, but hey, we made it here. And we do it all for you guys because we love making content for you. And we love feminism, even though we don't have as many female hosts this week, I'm afraid. We chose a strong, powerful female lead who has only sometimes been shown in super skimpy bikinis and I don't know,
latex suits.
Yeah, what do you call it, Fran, when you like wear they're like the tight shorts and then like the bralette top? I don't really know.
Like a tankini?
Is that I don't know. I'm asking you. Maybe
that's a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, tankini.
Well, I mean, it's very hot. Thank you, women, for everything you do for us.
Jesus Christ.
Speaking of thanks, thank you, Galestone Kitsune, for doing the artwork for the podcast, and for Pajo for doing the intro and outro songs. Guys, I feel like I've been sucked of all my energy.
Jesus Christ.
But I can't wait for the next episode that I'm sure will come out on time, and I don't see any possible reason that it wouldn't. And until then, I've been CJ.
And I've been Ethan.
And I've been Fran.
And I don't think we did that at the beginning.
We sure didn't. I thought about that about 20 minutes in. I'm like, I never said that.
Oh no. Well,
I can do it now.
Well, that just means just start the episode again right now, and it'll be like the row your boat thing, but with an episode.
All right. You ready?
I mean, it'll be more like how these fucking games go, where it's just like, was that the end or the beginning of the next one? And it's just like, actually we were dead the whole time. Ethan was actually a clone of his dead self, and Fran is a genetically modified bird.
That makes
welcome to the lore you know.
Oh no!